Hello there, and you're very welcome to another episode of the Arkham Avengers FFPL podcast. You join me, the host, along with Eamon, Hector, and Captain Fantastical Mick, where we take a look to see how the managers in this league are getting on for the season. However, we'll also be talking about much more. So kick back, stay tuned, and enjoy. Hello, listeners, and you're very welcome to the new season, the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football Premier League podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the summer break, that you're ready and all excited for the new football season 2023-24. I know I certainly am, and I think the man across the way from me is just as excited also. Eamon, how are you keeping?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm doing well, and I hope all the listeners are keeping well and have enjoyed the summer, although looking out that window at the moment, there's a lot of grey clouds and rain. Looks more like autumn to me than summer, but we'll take what we get there.
Indeed. Have you had a nice break?
I did, yes. I just stayed in Ireland. I didn't go very far. I went down to the sunny southeast and generally just relaxed and that there. And yourself?
Look, it was quiet enough there. Went over Mayo direction.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, very nice. It can be nice over there as well if you get the weather.
There is that. We were lucky with the weather. Eamon, we have no Hector.
So I noticed.
I don't think he's going to be back this week. I haven't had a chance to talk to him, but he did message to say he had hoped to be back from Brazil, but isn't. And hopefully that matter might get rectified.
I know. He did send a message. I saw it in the group. He's having an issue with a visa, from my understanding.
Yes, seems to be having a little problem with his long stay visa here in Ireland, and hopefully he'll get that sorted out and he'll be back with us.
And no Captain Fantastical Mick either.
No, Mick is still over in Miami. He's, from what I gather, he's soaking up the football over there with Messi.
Oh, well, I hope he's enjoying himself there. Mick, have a good time over there.
And so, Eamon, I mean, the football season is going to be starting. I mean, the football starts on the 11th of August.
Yes, not long to go now. It's getting tight to see what's going to happen here with players, transfers. Still a lot of business to be done here in the next number of days, a week. I'll be interested to see that there. Especially, will Harry Kane be playing in the Premier League in the new season? That's going to be quite interesting there to find out that there.
And our own league, we have a few managers in. We have a few managers to possibly join us. Maybe a few new managers to join us as well.
Yes, I noticed that. I had a look. I see that we have a new manager has joined us for this season. And you mentioned, I believe, that there is another new manager going to join us. And perhaps maybe we might have one or two other new managers before the season starts. If I may be allowed just to promote and say, if anybody is interested, just send us an email. It's still the same email address, Arkham Avengers, FFPL@gmail.com, and we'll get in touch with you and let you know the details on that there. But I'm looking forward to this. It'll be interesting to see if some managers return. Chances are, I think one or two won't.
Speaking of managers, Eamon.
Yes.
I believe you had a chat with last year's winner, Kane's Kepa, the manager, Devin. Is this right?
It is, yes. I had a chat with him. Very interesting chat there.
I haven't heard the whole lot, but from what I have heard, it sounds very good. I suppose maybe, will we have a listen to it?
By all means, I think it's very good. He's a very good manager, knowledgeable.
Okay, well, we'll roll it there. Listeners, this is Eamon's interview with the winner of the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football for 2022-23. It's Devin.
Hello, Devin, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. How are you keeping?
I'm doing well, Eamon. It's a pleasure to hear your voice. Yeah, I'm doing good.
Good. It's great to hear that, and it's lovely to get an opportunity to talk to you there. Firstly, you're the winner of 2022-2023 season. This is the double. You've done it 2 years in a row, and I think we must firstly congratulate you on the achievement to do the double. And I think everybody would agree that it's not easy to do it. You've done it, and I have to say it is a credit. So it is. And how do you feel having done the double? Does it put more pressure on you?
Yeah, I have to say it does put some more pressure on. I feel like it's been a great honor to do the double, to be a part of the Arkham Avengers FFPL. But going in for the next season, I just feel like I've got to come in as focused and as determined as I ever have been. So I'm looking forward to the start of the new season and seeing how things are going to get on in the Arkham Avengers FFPL.
Yes, indeed. And I think you were being pushed this season by Taiga, if I'm correct.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Very much pushed all the way to the final week. I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit, but it was a great season full of ups and downs. I just happened to come out on the right side of it in the end.
Yes, you did there. I suppose our listeners and myself here, we're interested about hearing your journey throughout this season and also your thoughts for the coming season, the 2023-24 season. We're intrigued by your preparation, and clearly you put a lot of work into this. We're also intrigued by your take on the players that you feel will be involved and the players that you feel would be instrumental in your quest for the treble. So I have a few questions, if I can put these to you. Is that okay?
Absolutely. I'm ready.
Sure. Okay. Well, as I said, it's fair to say, now you did win, but I think it's fair to say, and our listeners might agree here, that you were a little slow getting off the mark in the 2022-23 season. Can you tell us a little bit about your strategy last year? Did you have a particular approach? Because when we look back, it really was game week 20 before you kicked off your season and ended up with a good run to get to first place. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. But before I jump into my first answer, I just want to say, Eamon, that it's an absolute honor to be interviewed by you. I really appreciate that you always keep the panel focused on the football, and your insight as a panelist is invaluable. And I listen to every episode of the podcast, by the way. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Honestly, I think the thing that contributed to my slow start was not owning Holland at the beginning of the season. That just ended up being almost a train wreck for me. I didn't own Holland until about game week 8, and I even doubled down on my strategy to not own him when I used my first wild card and I didn't bring him in. It looks really bad now when I look back on it. But people at the time were saying that Holland wanted to move to Man City because his minutes would be managed there. And so I went off of that information, which didn't prove to be true at all. And then to top it all off, near the beginning of the season, I ended up having to take a 16-point hit in 1 week just to get Holland in, since I had already used my wild card before I brought him in. So all of that to say, I really didn't have the best strategy at the start of the season.
And as you said, you played your wild card and you didn't get a chance to bring him in. And when you say that you didn't bring him in till about game week 8, and you took a hit of minus 16 points, and we have to commend you on that. Some managers lose a lot of points, but when you lose 16 and end up winning the league, you have to be commended. But game week 8, Haaland was probably already getting himself settled in there. I mean, I've heard him described as an alien on the pitch. He's just out of this world. But did you think that you could have brought him in maybe a little bit sooner? Or do you think game week 8 was the perfect time for you to bring him in?
No, I mean, I think for a typical player coming into the Premier League, people talk about that adjustment and how there's going to be a period of time where the player has to get up to the speed of the league. I mean, for my estimation, it's the best league in the world. So it's going to take an adjustment for some players. But Holland seems to be one of these once in a generation type guys. Maybe he's going to be taking the place of the greats who are just starting to transition to the back end of their careers, like Ronaldo and Messi. You know, maybe Holland is going to be that next one to take their place. And he proved me totally wrong by just starting off on fire. Very early on in the season, he had a hat trick or multiple hat tricks. So to come into the best league in the world that you've never played in before and be able to do that, it probably wasn't a surprise to a lot of people, but I wanted to at least see a little bit from him before bringing him in. But It's no doubt, if you look back on the timing of when I brought him in, it was definitely late, I would say.
Yes, you mentioned Messi, and I might come back to him in a little while. But my next question would be, what were the unexpected challenges or the hurdles during that season, and how did you overcome them? What did you have to do to make sure that you weren't getting bogged down?
It's always difficult when matches get called off and then there end up being extra double game weeks added later in the season. That makes planning for transfers and planning how you will use your chips much more difficult. But last year we also had the World Cup break, so it's hard to know who would come back from the World Cup with strong form and who might come back with tired legs. And I'm not sure I really did well at overcoming those challenges, to be honest. I just try to have a consistent strategy, but I can be guilty of taking a punt here or there, like many other managers, and those don't always work out.
That's right. Do you think you mentioned the World Cup there? Do you think the World Cup caught a lot of people off guard? Because some people probably would have had players who were on form and then maybe went to the World Cup and came back, and like that, as you said, they were tired. Do you think a lot of people were caught out? Was the World Cup a big disruption? It certainly must have had an effect with the double game weeks, which were coming afterwards. The matches were coming thick and fast, week in, week out.
Yeah, it was absolutely a disruption, I think, to soccer leagues all over the world. You didn't know who was going to come back on good form or tired. Managers talk about rhythm and their players being able to maintain a certain match fitness. So you had some of the big hitters like Salah and Haaland who didn't compete in the World Cup. So for those guys, your question was more of, are they going to be rusty? Will they have not had enough time on the pitch to come back well? And then for those who played and made deep runs into the World Cup, you just didn't know how quickly would they be integrated back into the team, how many minutes would they get. And that kind of just compounded as the season went on because they had to take an extended break. Later in the year, normally the World Cup's in the summer. It was more it was late around Christmas time this time. So that just squeezed the schedule near the end of the season to where it was really hard to figure out who was going to actually be playing every week.
That's right. And my own view on this is that I think World Cup shouldn't have been played that time of the year. I think it caused too much disruption. And that is my own view on it. I think as well that it disrupts the flow for a lot of players, a lot of teams. But moving on to my next question here, what in your view was the crucial moment when you felt that the team you put together had turned a corner?
So the World Cup was an interruption and it did make things more difficult. But post World Cup and having a break, being able to play unlimited transfers during the World Cup was a critical moment in time in the season for me. I settled into more of a consistent strategy after that break. I made a plan and I stuck to it much better than I had done early on in the season. And my post World Cup wild card worked out decently and shot me up the ranks. And that just kind of gave me the momentum I needed to keep going. And I just did my best to hold steady from there.
Yes, that sounds good. And yes, the unlimited transfers came in very handy because people were able to tweak teams. And accordingly, with players getting knocked out of the World Cup, players are coming back maybe a little bit more time to recover and get refreshed there. Can I ask, what was the standout game week for you in the 2022-23 season? And which player, or you might have several players, who were a key factor in your winning the Arkham Avengers Fantasy Football League?
Easily the most standout game week for me was game week 38, the very last one. It was equally nerve-wracking and exciting that the title and the trophy for the Arkham Avengers FFPL came down to the final week this year. So I watched the Spurs match that day as I had Kane captained, and it turned out that choice was a great one. and more or less put me over the edge to win the league. And we mentioned it before, but just a shout out to Trey, manager of Taiga. He really pushed me all the way this season, and it was super fun to compete with him and the other great managers in the league.
Yes, you weren't pushed to it there, and it did come down to really an enthralling final there, because it was touch and go between yourself and Taiga, swapping places quite late in the season there, one getting the upper hand over the other one, and it did just come down to the captain choice really at the end of the day there. Of course, we don't know about Kane. There's a lot of talk about him leaving Spurs, quite possibly. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because he was your captain there for the ultimate game.
Yeah, I can be a little bit of a traditionalist in the way that I think it would be a shame for Kane to leave Spurs. He can continue to be there. He scores many goals every year. Just put in 30 this last season. He can play out his career there, be a club legend, set probably lots of records. But I'm also not in his boots, literally. One of the best goal scorers in the world. Maybe there are things like silverware or money that are more important to him for being able to go to another club and have a chance to win or live in a different place or experience different things. So I can't really say from his perspective. Just from mine, I think it would be a shame for him to leave.
I think so. But as it is, silverware he's a great player, but he's not going to get any silverware. The cabinet looks a little bit bare there. But moving on, then, as the champion for the second year in a row, and let's repeat this again, you did the double. No doubt you're pushing for the treble. What advice do you have for other managers who may have aspirations of winning the trophy?
Yeah, so when I won the trophy the first time, I felt I was very fortunate. I made many risky moves that just happened to work out time after time. I took a lot of hits. They would pay off the very week, and that player would continue to do well. In this last season, I think variance brought me back down to earth, and it was much more of a challenge to win the trophy this year. And I'm saying all that to say I believe that most of the managers who are a part of this league are very capable of winning the trophy in any season.
Hold on. I'll have to take issue there. And I let you know that there are some of those managers, especially down towards the bottom of the table there. Like, let's face it now, and I'm not putting on the spot here, but there is a question mark about, would they be a worthy winner? But sorry, I let you carry on there.
No problem. I understand your interjection. So I think I said most of the managers in the league are capable of winning, and I'll just leave it at that. But I'm sure many of them do not need my advice. But if I were to give any, I would say, give it your best. Stay engaged. Definitely don't give up midway through the season. That just isn't fun for anyone. But it's probably most important to make a plan, have a strategy, be thinking ahead, and then you have to have the wherewithal to stick with the strategy that you've come up with. You can use some combination of what people call the eye test, just meaning watching football and assessing from your own point of view, or using statistics, but neither of those is really enough on their own. There's a lot of research you can do. There's a lot of websites, a lot of podcasts like this one. There's a lot of YouTube channels. And I would also highly recommend joining the FPL community on Twitter. It is a great group of people who love playing Fantasy Premier League and are willing to interact and give advice. And also, one final bit is just don't forget to have fun. It is a game after all.
Yes, it is a game, and hopefully that the FPL community will survive there. I'm not sure. Elon Musk might pull the plug on them at some point there. The little bird seems to be flying the coop there. Thank you for that. And final question for you. As I said, of course, you're going to be defending your title this season. You spoke about the strategy there. What's your approach this year?
Yeah, I count it as an absolute honor, again, just to echo something I said earlier, to have done the double, to be the defending champion of the Arkham Avengers FFPL, and I will give it my very best to go for that treble. I would love to do that, but it is a very competitive league, and so I don't take any manager as an easy opponent. I think this next season, more than ever, I need to get off to a good start. And that was where I failed a bit last year. I need to pick my players that I believe in, stick with them, and not pull the trigger on that early wild card. I said that in the last interview on this pod, but I did not stick to that strategy this year. So I'm hoping this can be the first time I do. But I think undoubtedly this will be the most difficult season coming up to win the Arkham Avengers FFPL. So I will give all I have, and whatever happens, happens. But I really just cannot wait for the new season to get underway.
True. And look, we do wish you all the best, and those managers who will join this season. I know that myself and the rest of the panel will be looking forward to that. Of course, Mick and Hector are not back at present here. Before I wrap up there, you mentioned Messi earlier on. Over here, it's coming across that he is having a phenomenal impact in soccer in America. What is the reaction from your side? You're on that continent. Are you getting a vibe with him being in Miami there playing?
I think so. I think people are excited. For many years now, the Major League Soccer, MLS, the league here has been on the rise. Interest level, season tickets, sales, whatever metric you want to look at, interest has been on the rise for the MLS. So to bring in who I would consider arguably the greatest soccer player, football player of all time, it was a dream for me as an American from the U.S. to have Messi come here one day. I just thought that would never happen. Now he's here. He's in Miami. His very first match he got in as a sub. He scored a free kick to win the game for Inter Miami. Then in his very first start, I think he netted 2 goals, maybe even had 2 assists as well. So he's tearing it up. It's probably no surprise that one of the best soccer players in the world can come to a lesser league and do quite well. But it's just exciting to have him here, and I think he'll do a lot of good for MLS and for what we call soccer here in the United States.
Yes, well, he has always enthralled us wherever he has gone. He certainly, in my view, is one of the best. He happens to be, in my view, the best player in the world at the moment. I know a lot of people talk about Mbappe, but Messi has gone from one league to another and has been a champion, and he is now showing how he is a champion over there in the MLS. Devin, finally, I would just like to thank you for your time. It's been a privilege, as I said, to talk to you, to hear your honesty in talking to us about your journey last year, the planned journey this coming year. And I would like to wish you all the very best for the coming season. And hopefully, we may be talking to you if you do the treble next season. You have said it would be a tough league. I think perhaps there might be 1 or 2 managers who might be stepping up to the plate there. And it will be interesting. We always look forward to see how all the managers, those who are active and maybe those who are not so active, but all the same, as the host would say, they took time to put a team together. So I would like to thank you for your time, and I wish you all the very best for the coming year. And as I said, hopefully you will have your strategy from day one, and we will be watching you take the lead and the rest chasing you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eamon. I appreciate it. I'm probably the #1 fan of the podcast. Keep doing what you're doing. Hope to be talking to you again next year after I've done the treble, but we'll see.
No problem. Well, indeed, we don't mind you coming on anytime. I mean, talking to you is refreshing when I have to listen to Hector and to Captain Fantastical Mick at times. I mean, you've heard what I have to put up with at times there. So getting an opportunity to talk to a manager like you is worth its weight in gold. And look, anytime you want to pop on the show, please do there. And I mean, I could always talk to the host and make room for you, and maybe, who knows, Captain Fantastical Mick might take a break, or Hector mightn't get back from Brazil. He's not back yet. But sorry. But listen, thank you very much. And, we appreciate everything you do, your support for the podcast as well. Take care.
Thank you also. Appreciate it.
There you go, Eamon. Very good.
Thank you. As I said, Devin is knowledgeable. And thank you to Devin for his time. I know he's a busy man, and he's set aside time for the interview. So it's very good there. And it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Having done the double, can he do the treble? Yeah, indeed. That's going to be the real question. Can he do the treble? Taiga pushed him so far, didn't he, Eamon? Yes, he did push him. And I think maybe this season is going to be tougher, I think. Haaland is worth a lot of money. Put him in your team, fantasy football team. Like he's 14 million. It's a big chunk. Whatever about somebody who might be 12 million. 12 and a half. There's an extra bit of money gone out there, and you're going to have to tweak those teams in order to get him. If you put him in, can you afford not to put him in? I think he needs to go in from the start.
We've also been endeavouring to interview Taiga, our manager who came in second place. His schedule is booked out at the moment, so we're hoping maybe in a couple of weeks' time, few weeks' time maybe, things might get a little quieter for him and we'll get an interview with him. Eamon, anybody else on your list for interviewing? You've got to interview Mike this season.
Well, I'm hoping that, if possible, I could interview the spoofer. He did come third after all. Lafayette Lions manager is not available, and I'm not sure whether the good, the bad, and the goalies manager, Jerry, whether he would be available. I believe that best season ever, Bobby, won't be available. He's away.
Yes, actually, can we just say congratulations to Robbie. He got married last Friday, and we wish him and Siobhan all the very best and hope they enjoy their honeymoon.
Yes, so that put him out there. Perhaps maybe Blightsome. I'd like to interview Blightsome to get an intake there, and possibly maybe Raglan may be available. So I'm hoping to have a few interviews in the coming weeks here, especially with the season starting.
Okay, well, that's great. Okay, Eamon, well, I think we'll wrap it up for the moment. Get ready for the new season.
Yes, I think we'll have to be well rested and on our ball. We'll have to be on our game here nowadays.
Indeed. Okay, listen, thanks very much. Enjoy the week.
Thank you too.
And listeners, thank you for joining us, and we hope that you want to stick with us for the whole new season. We'll have podcasts out pretty much every week. We'll keep you updated on what's going on with football, chat, managers, and just about anything else. And until the next time, mind yourselves everywhere in the world. Stay safe. Take care. We'll be back. Slán.